and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I'm joined by Mr. Robert Thomas Morphy II.
Well played.
Oh,
well
you like
played.
that?
Yeah, I do.
I
feel regal when people mention the Roman numerals. I really like that.
I said last episode that I was going to try to do it, and
You did. My dad would be pleased. I mean, they would acknowledge him as the first de facto.
Nice.
Though they had no idea at the time, and they did not add a Roman numeral to his name. They just called him Bobby M.
All right, there you go.
No, they really didn't, but still, they could have.
I'm the one that came up with Bobby, I think, right?
Yeah, no, they called my dad Bob. He was
they
Bob.
did.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not the original. Oh, okay. All right, fine.
Well,
fine.
Bobby, I mean, Uncle Bobby.
Uncle Bobby.
That's you. That's
There
you
you
all
go.
the way.
There it is. Unfortunately, Christopher is not with us this evening, but Robert and I have pulled out a little special something for everybody here.
Space mysteries.
Space mysteries, yes. And again, as per COVID protocols, unfortunately, we are behind our little tiny metaverse screens. So I fucking hate recording podcasts like this, but as a quick follow-up to last week's COVID debacle, which is all it fucking was, my daughter and I thankfully dodged the COVID, which is cool. So
the knee fever cleared up. Your rheumatoid.
Yeah, my knee fever cleared up. I never actually tested positive for COVID. I just got sick for a couple of days, had all negative tests. It's a mystery, man. I don't know. I have no idea.
You're allowed to get sick with other things. I mean, it doesn't seem possible anymore, but it is the way of the West.
Well, I mean, when your knees are 103 degrees. So
yeah, that's true.
I guess we'll see what happens. So all the COVID stuff is cleared up. Unfortunately, though, my daughter still has one more day of quarantine. So I'm here locked down with her doing our thing, but it is what it is. So Robert, Patreon. Let's do some shout outs.
Let's do this. Beginning with Simon Woth.
Hell yeah, Simon. What up?
Isabella.
Oh, Isabella. I've been waiting for you. Thank you so much for signing on to our Patreon.
So exotic.
Yes.
Kangaroo 89.
Oh, all right. I'm surprised.
I like it. It's enigmatic.
I'm shocked they didn't go with the 69, but what up, Kangaroo 89?
Well, maybe, it means something personal. It doesn't always have to be a bunch of scumbag pervs that support us.
True.
Thank God for those that do, by the way.
See, normally it is, but okay.
Jim Noggle.
Hell yeah, Jim.
Dale,
what up?
Cece Burns.
What up, Cece?
Chris Devil Bliss.
Whoa, Devil Bliss. I do
like that.
Hell yeah.
So we meet again, Mr. Devil Bliss.
Indeed.
The dueling field. Grant.
Hell yeah, Grant. Thank you so much.
NDP, all caps.
What up, NDP?
Christopher with a K.
Nice.
Galliano.
Oh, Christopher, thank you so much.
I think I'm going to let you read this one.
Chamber of Misfits podcast.
It's your jam. I
Cool.
mean, I love the Misfits. Chris loves the Misfits. Nobody doesn't love the Misfits unless, I guess they just hate punk rock and all.
I mean, I don't know
but you love the Misfits.
Oh, I know. They are my fucking jam. I don't know if it's a podcast about the Misfits, but if it is, it'd be cool.
It would be.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? But thank you for supporting either way. Even if it's like about the Misfits of science, a fine, I think, one season 80s TV show, I'd also support that.
Totally.
But either way, hey, why not both? Why not anything Misfitty?
Yeah, be sure to check them out.
Jared Schaefer.
Oh yeah, Jared Schaefer. Thank you so much.
Casey Croc Chaos Pettis.
Croc Chaos. Yes.
It's a chaotic neutral. I don't know.
Dude, it's croc chaos, dude. Like, especially with these winter months, man, I got my new lined jams. Let me tell you. Oh, my feet are toasty, buddy. My feet are so fucking toasty in them lined
Crocs. I've never put my feet in a croc.
Dude.
But I mean, it's not like I'm against it. It's not like I'm taking a stand. It's just, I just don't have Crocs and I'm not super duper interested. I like a little more security on my feet.
Okay.
And I've seen Crocs hurt people, like people close to me. Badly.
like when I dropped a knife on mine.
No, close. You're one of them. No, like hospital bad. So I'm just saying,
boy.
Crocs.
All right. Well, there you go. Don't go welding in your Crocs, I guess.
Yeah, well, don't go welding in your pit vipers. Ocean not approving. We're not done. We got two more names here.
All right.
JC, Jesus Christ. Jesse Kessler.
Nice, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Known as JC to me. We're tight.
There you go.
Sci-Fanatic Tiz.
Nice.
Rounds it up. Thank you. One and all as ever.
We do have a correction.
Oh, no,
Robert.
We got a correction. Son of a biscuit.
We actually got this. This wave was sent to me this afternoon. So there it is.
Okay. I knew I was going to massacre this one. And very likely, even though he was kind enough to send a wave file and I got to hear him say his name repeatedly, I'm probably going to fuck it up again. But here it goes. Miodrag Bogoslavovich.
I think you got it, honestly.
I hope so.
I've listened to it at least 4 times myself.
Miodrag, thank you. You're awesome. Your
you.
accent is awesome. You sound completely like an 80s Bond villain, and I love it. That really somber, dark tone where you're just like, oh, fuck. Yeah, no. Miodrag's here. He's got his toolkit. I'm in trouble. I'm in a lot of fucking trouble now.
He's got
damn it. No one told me Miodrag was coming to the party. You sons of biscuits.
He's here, dude. Fucking break out the shots. We're about to fucking
and the
do it.
Those players. I mean, it's on. It's on.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So like we mentioned in the beginning of this episode here, we are going to be doing a little bit of something different here. But, sometimes it's good to kind of go out of your comfort zone and kind of find maybe tackle a little bit of a different kind of topic. But I think we're going to be able to tie this back into what we normally talk about. So this week we're talking about the Soviet scandal, a death in space.
We're getting into conspiracy land. Obviously, a lot of Cold War action again.
There you go.
It's interesting. It's not strictly speaking paranormal, but then again, the paranormal can infuse itself into anything. It is definitely intriguing, though, and so I'm pretty excited. I wrote this maybe 10 years ago, at least. I don't know. I haven't revisited it in a while, so when we found out Chris wasn't going to be here, we had a very in-depth pod plan. We're going to save that for Chris. We're going to do this, and I think it's going to be really fun.
Oh, for sure. No, I'm pretty stoked on this. So without further ado, let's get started with open any 20th century history book, and you will read that the first female ever to slip the surly bonds of Earth was a 26-year-old Russian woman by the name of Valentina Tereshkova. Young Tereshkova was launched into an orbital trajectory aboard the Vostok 6 on June 16, 1963, officially becoming the first woman to fly in space. But there are those who would suggest that this brave soul was not the first woman ever to make it into orbit, just the first one to make it home.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, we're talking Soviet scandals in space, dude. Here we go. We got to be careful, man. I don't know if the KGB is still a thing, but if it is, fuck balls.
Well, yeah, I mean, they definitely have their intelligence agencies, and Putin was in the KGB.
Well, shit. Here
so,
we go.
Mean, the tendrils are still out there.
Well, let's fucking
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, no. Exactly. There you go. Rob revealed his Hydra status.
No doubt. Now you know. Great. Now you know the secret agenda.
And there goes Patreon. All right, Robert, let's do this.
Okay. In the July 1962 issue of Fate magazine, journalist and radio personality Frank Edwards, who I'm a big fan of, wrote a lot of books like Strange People, Stranger Than Science, that kind of thing. Some people have maybe questioned the integrity of the research, but he was one of those guys that was just out there just picking up weird stories and throwing them out there. And I found that it's a lot of seeds that have germinated into further research that I've enjoyed. So I enjoy the guy's work. But anyway, back in the 60s, 50s. Anyway, Frank Edwards published an article entitled Those Lost Soviet Astronauts, which made headlines across the globe. In his article, Edwards proposed that translations of tracking station tapes and other intercepted communiques indicated that between 5 and 7 unidentified cosmonauts had lost their lives while engaged in early attempts at manned spaceflight. That's fucking a lot.
Yeah, and considering the era and what the technology was, I mean, they're just kind of sending you open a tin can. They're like, good luck.
It's amazing anyone made it.
Hope you fucking
ever.
Don't burn up in re-entry. But
no, yeah, you're going to have all the forces of gravity and pressure and friction going up into space on a giant explosion.
Yeah.
You're going to make it up there where everything is an icy vacuum with no oxygen and cosmic rays are trying to fucking give you all kinds of cancer. Then you're going to plummet back through said, friction-y atmosphere and just splash in an ocean. Hopefully your 3 fucking parachutes open. And, by all the miracles of science and I guess the divine, you are going to walk out of this fucking thing alive, and yet it happened time and time again. I can almost understand why people don't believe in a space program because it's fucking unheralded that this could happen.
When we get that fucking invitation from Bezos to go up in his little penis rocket there, I mean, I'm going to decline it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's cool. I can't be trusted in 0 G's. I can't.
Oh man.
I just can't.
It would be nice though. I don't know if I could do it either. I think I could, but I mean,
I can't.
Throwing my fat ass in space would just be crazy, but I would definitely have to try because to feel 0 G's would be brilliant.
Dude, these Crocs got to stay on the fucking Earth, dude.
Those Crocs were meant for Earth dirt.
Yeah, these ain't
space dirt.
These ain't space Crocs, brother. These
Fair
are
enough.
Crocs.
Oh my fucking God. All right. As if that weren't intriguing, not to mention horrible enough, Edwards further revealed that one of the cosmonauts was said to be a woman who, if the reports are to be believed, was the actual first female space traveler in human history. But before we delve any further into this enigma, let's take a quick look at the official story of the first woman into space. Valentina Vladimironov Tereshkova was born the second of three children in the Yaroslavl Oblast region of Russia on March 6, 1937. Tereshkova hailed from a modest working class family with a mother who worked in a textile factory and a father who was a tractor driver, both of whom had emigrated from Belarus. Tereshkova officially began her education in 1945, but by 16 she abandoned her formal schooling and sought work at a local textile plant to help support her family. Although she managed to continue her education by enrolling herself in correspondence courses. That's someone you admire. That's like some poverty era, post Ellis Island
Yeah.
US stories. Like, yeah, I quit school to help support my family, but I'm taking night classes as if your 18-hour shift at the fucking factory isn't going to be taxing enough.
Yeah, no, she's fucking doing it for
No, you
sure.
got to
Holy
admire.
shit.
You got to admire. As a youngster, Tereshkova became fascinated by the idea of parachute jumping, and when she turned 22, she leapt at her chance to skydive train at the local aero club. She made her first jump on May 21st, 1959, and was quickly addicted to the hobby. It would be her fearlessness and growing expertise in parachute jumping, not to mention her solid proletariat background, never hurts in Soviet Russia, that led her to being selected as one of the 400 candidates to become the first female cosmonaut. That's awesome, kind of. I want a parachute. I got mad parachute skills. And I guess back then in the space business, as we were talking before, if you could fall correctly, nailed it. Because that's really, astronauts obviously had to do shit and hit buttons and capsule stuff. I'm not trying to limit their abilities, but they got test pilots usually to do what trained monkeys were doing in those very early days of the space program.
I think the closest I've come to this is when I was a kid. I can remember getting like a big black like Glad trash bag and cutting holes in it. But my friend had this like really cool like fort. Like it was like his father built like this huge like jungle gym fort type thing. And it was at least like 15 feet. And
oh my God.
Us jumping off the top of it like assholes. Never actually like catching enough wind with the Glad bag because it's not possible. It's
and
not
it wouldn't support you
works.
even if it did. I tried the same thing, not from 15 fucking feet because I don't know. I value my ankles, but yes.
We managed to make it work. We also that was the same time that we sent my brother down a zip line on a backpack and it worked because he was tiny at the time. He's still tiny, but he was tinier. So,
right.
So
it'll do.
I guess I'm not meant for space.
Well, according to this training, if you'd been there in the early days,
I'd be the first one up.
Yeah, no doubt.
Send this Neanderthal fucker up there quick.
Yeah, right after your little brother, because like you say, he's tiny. He can fit into the capsule easy.
He can fit in there perfect.
I love you, Dave. Okay.
Perfect.
Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev had commanded that 4 women be selected and trained for a unique woman in space program. Tereshkova, with her grit and courage, managed to not only survive the culling of the first 396 applicants, but according to official records, was the only one of the final 4 women selected to actually complete a space mission. And this is where the mystery begins. The Cold War had teetered on the precipice of a hot war during the Cuban Missile Crisis in the autumn of 1962. And in the years immediately preceding this potentially cataclysmic event, things were not much better between the superpowers. Tensions were at an all-time high during the tumultuous 1960s, and the space race, which would last from about 1957 to the mid-70s, would come to represent the very best and worst of this treacherous tug-of-war. With national pride, armed superiority, and control of space hanging in the balance, it should come as a shock to no one that secrets were held close to the vest on both sides of this epic struggle, and that failures, be they merely embarrassing or outright tragic, were not usually the subject of national headlines, especially when said events took place behind the then seemingly impenetrable shield of the Iron Curtain. As aforementioned, it was Edwards who in 1962 first introduced the world to the idea that all of the magnificent achievements of the space race were built on the often anonymous shoulders of brave men and women who were willing to, and regularly did, sacrifice their lives in the name of science. In 1965, Edwards' book Strange World was published. In the chapter The First Woman into Space, Edwards gave a more complete account of the episode in question. Here is an excerpt from that report. Quote, "One morning in July 1963, the top brass of the Soviet Union lined up on Lenin's tomb alongside the 5 young men who had survived Soviet shots into space, and the 6th member of this unique group, a pretty young girl named Valentina Tereshkova. Miss Tereshkova had just completed a superb orbital flight around the Earth. It was a dangerous trip and in some ways a difficult journey, but she performed well and was being given the cheers she so richly deserved." End quote. Edwards, however, was quick to indicate that something was amiss. We get back into his writing. There was one major omission in the praise being heaped upon Miss Tereshkova. She was not the first woman into space. She was the first woman to come back from space. There is a difference, and the difference is grim. While the Russians were beating the drums for what they called the first woman into space, and while the news services around the world were dutifully repeating that propaganda statement, there were many scientists, both in and out of the communist countries, who knew the truth, that the first woman into space never came back. End quote. In the wee hours of February 17th, 1961, a Lunik capsule attached to a colossal booster rocket scorched skyward from the remote Baikonur Cosmodrome. The Cosmodrome, located about 124 miles east of the Aral Sea in the desert steppes of Kazakhstan, was the world's first and largest operational space launch facility and the Soviets' pride and joy. Just minutes after takeoff, tracking stations outside the USSR detected the launch and began tracking the Soviet flight. These stations managed to record the voices of the cosmonauts piloting the capsule, and they reported that they heard both male and female voices coming from inside the Lunik. For a long week, the pair reported to Baikonur Mission Control and other Soviet space bases at regular intervals. Day and night, the cosmonauts, isolated in the tiny capsule, radioed down a standard report, quote, "Everything satisfactory. We are maintaining the prescribed altitude," end quote. Eventually, the techno-eavesdroppers began to grow more and more curious about this extended spaceflight and at the USSR's peculiar silence regarding it. One must remember that this mission took place during the heat of the space race, and any nation who succeeded in accomplishing even the smallest feat before its adversary usually wasted no time in shouting their accomplishments from the rooftops. But there was something different about this situation. The fact that the Soviets were keeping their mouths closed meant that something was not right and would probably end up getting a lot worse.
Oh, shit. We got some Soviet deception here. What's going on, boys? What's happening up there?
Well, first, to Italy. Little John to the sunny shores of the Mediterranean.
Perfect.
Achille and his little brother Giovanni Battista, Judicia Cordiglia, oh God, and I think I did that as well as I can, were gifted amateur radio operators who would achieve a modicum of fame following an article published in the April 1965 issue of Reader's Digest titled Italy's Amazing Amateur Space Watchers. According to the article, the pair became fascinated by the workings of radios in 1949 when their mother bought them a pile of surplus radio equipment that was being sold off by the U.S. Army at discount rates. In the late 1950s, the brothers set up their own experimental listening station in a decaying German bunker nestled in the tiny village of San Maurizio Canavesi, which is located about 12 miles outside of Turin, Italy, which is, of course, where the shroud gets involved. But not really.
You never take the shroud off the table.
Never.
It's kind of cool they found a fucking old German bunker. They're
I'm
like,
thinking
guess
the
what?
same thing.
This is ours.
And you're filling it with fucking World War II surplus radio equipment. So basically, you look like every spaceship set in every 1960s sci-fi film that basically did the same thing. I mean, they didn't film in fucking hollowed out bunkers, but they bought all the old military equipment and tried to make look like newfangled spaceships, which I fucking love that aesthetic. Who doesn't? But as a kid, I can only imagine I would not have been as proficient building radios. But I have played with old equipment, and would I have been ducking in and out of bunkers, not thinking about the grim history involved at all, but just thinking this is like a concrete labyrinth of pure childlike joy? Fuck yes, I would have.
Dude, I would be pretending to blow up Alderaan every day. That's all I would be doing.
Instant empire.
Yeah, exactly.
Just add water. Holy shit. Okay. So they're outside of Turin in their experimental listening station.
Nice.
The brothers named the station Torre Bert Space Center and swiftly filled it with scavenged World War II surplus radio equipment and their own homemade paraphernalia. The young men decided to focus on Soviet rather than U.S. space efforts, due not only to the fact that Russia was considerably closer, but also because the Russians were more secretive than the United States. As ragtag as the efforts were, the brothers and their small band of radiophiles were soon able to illicitly monitor transmission from both America's Explorer 1 and Russians' Sputnik program.
Oh, there's no encryption with these programs at all. If the little kids in Italy are picking it up, yeah, you guys fucked up. Wow.
Yeah, no. And what are you going to do in like the 50s? I mean, how are you going to encrypt a fucking thing? Everything's like radio waves and Morse code and just signals that are shooting everywhere, and anyone can intercept anything. Like, I'm shocked that they finally figured out ways to stop any of this.
Yeah, honestly. Like, it's just so crazy. These kids are like, yeah, we're listening to the Americans and the Soviets. There you go. No one can fucking stop
old,
us.
I don't know, Burt I. Gordon Space Center or whatever the fuck they call it. It's awesome. Fucking wicked.
Weird.
In fact, these early hackers of the airwaves managed not only to spy on the world's two biggest atomic superpowers, like Mark said, but were also able to glean a plethora of information about their space programs, including both telemetry and audio recordings. It was from this information that the brothers were to claim to have found evidence of some of the most remarkable and contentious lost or phantom cosmonaut cases ever reported. Some of these incidents included the tragic case of a cosmonaut that was burned alive while in descent from orbit, and a married couple, allegedly by the name of Ludmila and Anatoly Tokov, who perished in each other's arms within a malfunctioning capsule. That's fucking horrible. If that happened, that is fucking horrible. Jesus. I know that 3 American astronauts, I think maybe it was the Mercury program. I'm ashamed that I don't really know, but I know it was like some of the original guys, or at least one of them, perished in a fire on the launch pad. All 3. And it just, I mean, back then, I will salute the hardiness of the American space program in that they were able to acknowledge the tragedy, and I hope give them, not that you can ever, make it okay for the families, but like give them the proper respect and then still move on in the exploration efforts. Because nowadays, if something like that happened, it would set it back 20 years and
for sure.
There would be a kibosh on everything. And I get the valuing human life, animal life in general is something that is super significant, and I'm totally behind it, but I'm also about the idea that sometimes science needs to fucking push on. And we never would have gotten to the moon, which is real, and we walked on it, Mark. Without, oh god damn it, that's for another day. Without that effort. So anyway, burning to death. I mean, at least you're with a loved one, but then watching a loved one burn to death, I don't know if that makes it better. No, it doesn't.
No,
because you're burning to death, and that sucks. And you're watching someone you love burn to death, and that double sucks. So that's at least, by a factor of 3, upping the suck.
You're just melting together. That's awful. That's not a way to go.
Well, I mean, a new wave European pop song about it would actually probably be pretty,
all right, yeah, fine. Whatever.
Pretty engaging.
Nice.
Oh, in the capsule, melt with you. But the Tokovs aside, rest in peace, this was not the first time that the Giudica Cordiglia brothers and others had picked up the sounds of what appeared to be cosmonauts in dire straits. On November 28th, 1960, the brothers picked up the cryptic message SOS to the entire world.
Oh,
when you have to give that message, that's fucking horrible.
Just for a second here, though, let's think about this. These are children, okay? These are kids.
Well, they might be in their 20s at this point.
Okay, well, all right.
Because remember, if they're in their 20s, it was in 1949, they were kids, fascinated by it. Their mom bought them a bunch of stuff. So by the late 1950s. So they were kids. Maybe they're in their mid-20s. Maybe they're in their early 20s at this point.
Okay, I was thinking it was a bunch of like fucking 10-year-olds listening to people die in space horrifically, like a weird Faces of Death.
Right.
Okay.
No, I think they were 10 when they first commandeered the not the Soviet bunker, the Nazi bunker, and put their equipment in there. They're probably in their late teens, 20s at this point, I think.
It's still, okay, it'd be worse if they were kids. It's still pretty fucking awful, though, just be listening to radio waves and hearing people die above you in space. That's pretty fucking gnarly.
Yeah, if someone ever asked what's your hobby, and it's like, oh, listening to cosmonauts die in space.
Oh, man.
Layers to that therapy. A lot of layers.
Yeah, dude, that's like a generational thing where you're like, my grandfather had a hobby and it was fucking awful. And then he passed it down to all of us. And now we just, listen at night as the cosmonauts die above us.
Now we have to listen to recordings because they're living each and every time. God damn it.
God, that's got to be
spending
fucking
months
awful.
On a space station, bicycling, being healthy.
Shit.
Bastards.
Yeah, son of a bitch. All right, well, fucking, God. Wow,
yeah.
There it is.
So SOS to the entire world. And, my sci-fi ass, the first time I hear that, I'm like, is the world in trouble, or are you asking literally everyone on Earth for help?
Oh, right, yeah. Be more.
Either way, it sucks. But
start Morse code. Be more specific. Are you dying, or are we in trouble?
Yeah. Or is it a giant comet?
No one but Rob can see my SOS finger tapping my.
No, your Morse code's impeccable. Yeah. Impeccable, dude. The message, which was repeated 3 times, came from a space vehicle that seemed to be moving away from the Earth at a fixed point. Oh, that's not good. Amateur radio operators from Germany and Texas reported picking up the same message. 3 days later, Russia uncharacteristically admitted to a launch which had ended in failure, but they specifically neglected to mention that there was a human being on board. As infamous as these cases are, the Lunik episode, with its precious cargo, would become one of the most notorious of all. And if they mean moving away from Earth at a fixed point, that means you just basically fly away from Earth with no hope of coming home until oxygen is gone. Good Lord.
That's like one of my biggest fears. If you're ever out there and all of a sudden you're like, I'm floating, fuck, and you're just going away. And there's
it's
no
funny
place to go.
Like, I get what you're saying. That's you kind of elaborated. That's one of your biggest fears in context of space travel. But when you just simply said it's one of my biggest fears, all I can think is, what is this guy missing? There's so many dangers down here that one of your biggest fears is you'll somehow end up in space with no way to come home and resources getting more limited.
Specifically with my fear of space.
Do you have lists of different fears? Like these are my playground fears.
Oh, I do. Totally.
These are my fishing stream fears. These are my space fears.
Yes. So like water-bound fears is always a snake coming at like a water moccasin or like a water snake coming at my head. Because I've seen snakes in water before, and I'm always afraid I'm going to like come up like in my pool.
Oh, and then
there's
it's
like
just
a snake coming at my face. Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can identify with that one.
Snakes in general, rats in general, bats, mice. What else? Spiders.
Dude, you work in fucking sewers.
I very rarely see rats. Very rarely.
Okay.
Yeah, very rarely.
I'm glad.
But snakes are a thing that I don't enjoy.
I like snakes. I mean, I wouldn't want them all about me, and I certainly wouldn't want a moccasin swimming at my fucking face. But yes,
I don't know, man. I
like snakes, rats. I like too. I like a lot of things.
We had a friend that was big into snakes. It's not my thing, man.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah, it's just not my jam. I don't know. Like, I mean, do whatever you got to do. Do whatever you got to do, but just keep your snake away from me.
All right, fair enough.
It is.
Maybe we'll do a Patreon on Mark's fear list.
Yeah, why Mark?
Which involves snakes falling from the sky. If I'm parachuting and a snake comes out of the parachute and bites me before I plummet to death.
Exactly, man. You don't know what the fuck had happened. It sucks.
All right, back on point.
There we go.
In the early evening hours of February 24th, 1961, tracking stations at Meduon, Bochum, Uppsala, and of course, Tory Burt all recorded what was said to be the final broadcast from the 2 ill-fated cosmonauts inside the Lunik capsule. Following the now expected statement that conditions were satisfactory and that the capsule was maintaining the prescribed altitude, there was the slightest hesitation. Then the male voice stated, quote, "We can read the dials. The signals are not clear, however. We see nothing." End quote. After about a 5-second gap, the woman's voice broke in. Quote, "I'll make it and hold tight with my right hand. Only this way can we maintain equilibrium. Look out of the peephole. Look out of the peephole. I have it." Just seconds later, the male voice cried out, Here, there is something. There is something. It's difficult. If we do not get out, the world will never hear about it. It is difficult.
What in the fuck?
So maybe I was sneaking a little paranormal in there.
I was dude, come on. I mean, all right, translation wise, obviously, we're missing probably something there. Well,
this is supposedly a literal translation of the transcript. Now, can I confirm that? No,
Okay.
I've never seen the original transcriptions. I've never heard the recordings. I can't speak fucking Russian. So we have to just go on a little bit of faith here.
Dude, this is sketch. This is totally sus.
Everything, yes. Oh, my, is this the first time we've gone into Sketcherton? We're the mayors of it. You're the fucking alderman. Chris is the fucking treasurer and the fire chief. It's burning all the time.
Can I be the patrol officer of fucking Sketchtown?
Yeah, totally. We live up in Sketcherton Heights, the best neighborhood that only smolders and doesn't exactly burn.
All right, well, let's see where we go with this.
Yeah, Robert. Sketchy. Okay, dude.
There it is.
What do you got to say about it? So if we are to at least assume that maybe some of this dialogue is accurate, what they're saying really opens up a lot of possibilities. So the signals are not clear. We see nothing. Now, if you can read the dials, but you see nothing, that either means you're far enough away from Earth that you're no longer getting signal. And I don't know how far that is. I mean, I assume that, 8 years later in the Apollo missions, when they're going to the moon, that you could still get information. It might've taken hours between the capsule and, Houston or, Cape Canaveral or whatever was sending shit. So I assume that it just means they're not getting anything. And then I'll make it and hold tight, the woman says, with my right hand. Only this way can we maintain equilibrium. Look out the people. I have it. So I'm assuming she's holding whatever the thing is that you can make the capsule tumble and trying to keep it dead straight.
Right.
And as it's happening, she sees something out of the portal. She's telling the man to look. Then seconds later, the male voice cries out, Here, there is something. There is something. It's difficult. If we do not get out, the world will never hear about it. It's difficult. And transmission.
Difficult's a weird word.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. All right. Well,
but there is no mistaking, again, assuming that this is an accurate transcription of actual words actually said.
Right.
With all of those caveats intact. There is something. There is something, all in caps, said with great emphasis, apparently, means that they saw something. And if they saw like a U.S., I don't know, capsule destroyer, like if we had a super weapon in the early 60s, we probably didn't. That you think they would have said, oh my God, the Americans are attacking us or something.
Or, to bring it to the Salyut 7, which we did not that long ago.
Space Angels.
There you go. Fucking Space Angels show up and they're like, guess what, Soviets? You don't get to launch. And then they hit you with their Space Angel sword. It's like Voltron.
Why are you assuming that they're detrimental? These fucking cosmonauts, as I recall, really felt at peace seeing the Space Angels and joy.
I just assume that they're evil.
Why would you assume that? I mean,
Space Angels, dude.
Oh, well, you're right. I mean, if it was an anime, you have nailed exactly what would have happened. And I know there's warrior angels, and I know they brandish, swords of flame like Thundar the Barbarian, and they fucking wreak all sorts of fucking havoc. And I get that. I get angels are a mixed bag at best.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm willing to concede that they could be danger angels in space.
Danger angels. We need Tom Cruise up there immediately.
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, of course, my first instinct is UFO. But yeah, Space Angel too. But all we really get is the woman apparently saying, look out the fucking window. I'm going to try to maintain, the integrity of this equilibrium. And the guy going, holy shit, there is something. And if we don't fucking get out, we can't tell anybody about it. None of that really says, even if it's all 100% authentic, that it's extraterrestrial or interdimensional or celestially divine or fucking whatever. But it is intriguing.
Welcome to Speculation Town, buddy. Population 2.
I thought you meant Sketcherton.
Is
that one of the suburbs? Speculation
it
Town?
Is, yes.
Only a couple people live there. It goes further out.
You and I are there right now. Exactly.
Oh yeah. No one wants to live in that suburb.
No.
Yeah, they kicked us out of what was it? Fucking, I don't know, Factual Heights.
Yeah,
long ago.
Factual Heights. That place sucks.
All right. Right on schedule, the Soviet transmitter broke into the broadcast to announce that it was 8 p.m. Moscow time. When the programmed announcement ceased, there was only silence from the lunar capsule. The men at Mission Control tried diligently to raise their isolated comrades to no avail. The cosmonauts had vanished into the depths of space and were never heard from again. While there is no dearth of skeptics who claim that the evidence of this, as well as the other phantom cosmonaut events, is too scant, homogenized, and inconsistent to take seriously, one would be remiss in ignoring the fact that there have been a plethora of accounts hailing from post-Soviet Russia that indicate that numerous historical records were modified for scores of reasons during communist rule. In regards to the space race in particular, evidence was unveiled in that short window between the fall of communism and the rise of Putin that cosmonauts who had been disqualified or otherwise failed to live up to the high standards of the Soviet space program were not only drummed out, but were expunged from the records and even meticulously removed from photographs. And that's totally fucking true. I've seen documentaries and other documentation, online or whatever. I haven't seen it with like firsthand in my hands, but where you see the photograph where it's like 9 astronauts and then you see the polished one where there's just 7 and there's an empty chair and a bookshelf.
They're pulling the vintage Lee Harvey Oswald cut and paste his head on the body. Holy shit.
I know someday maybe we'll tackle that. I don't know. Maybe not.
Dude, I want to go so deep into JFK. You have no fucking idea.
I mean, we could really
cover myself in JFK. There's so much cool shit there.
Mothman Lindy into JFK.
Oh God, it's going to be a 10-part episode. Chris will never return.
No, we'll lose him forever.
He'll be gone.
We could probably pin this on the Mothman when we're done.
More than likely.
But fucking, yeah, that photograph is fucking horrible. Like, yeah, I know it might be real. It probably is real, but it always looked like his head is like 7 inches to the left. I know it's not.
There's been enough documentaries showing that it's fake, but it's who knows? Who knows? Could be real, could be fake.
Absolutely.
That's the joy of the conspiracy.
So
when conspiracy was fun.
Yeah, it killed the president, ruined a family. But yes, when conspiracy was fucking fun, at least the notions behind it were more entertaining back then.
Exactly.
So these photos are legit and they have people removed, but there's no reason to assume there's a paranormal angle or even anything. Well, there is something untoward, like they're going to change history, which is shitty. I mean, if you want to, besmirch someone's reputation, that's bad enough, but it's better than completely expunging them from the record. Because that's diabolical.
But especially dealing with Russia at the time. I mean, this is even for the U.S., this is not anything that's really that uncommon. They're just like, yep, no, we're erasing this part of history completely the fuck out of there. They do it all. I mean, but every country, it's not just Russia or the U.S. Most countries still to this day do this.
There are people working round the clock to wipe off the pyramids on the dark side of the moon. That's literally their full-time job at NASA.
I mean, I think the pictures,
take out the tubes.
Over there, man. So they thought they found a little space shack, turned out to be a rock. I was so pumped to do that for Patreon, and then I'm like, I gotta wait because the Chinese are gonna figure it out, and they're like, nah, it's a rock. Like, fuck, is it really a rock? Is it? Or are you fucking hiding something?
Listen, we're in cahoots.
Yeah,
we're not enemies. We're adversaries on the surface. We're business partners right below the surface, and deeper than that, the reptilians have got everything. Not loosey-goosey, righty-tighty. Everything's secure. They're going to keep the fucking shit clandestine. This is where I get weird. The moon's real, but there's some fucked up shit on the moon.
Oh, man, is that where the reptilians live? They're not actually here in the earth?
No, I just think they're kind of in charge of it. I think they're just really good at bureaucracy and fucking dotting the T's and crossing the I's, as it were.
All right.
They're going to just make sure business gets done.
Illuminati
I do think that there's a secret base there, and I think there's a lot of shag carpeting.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of mayhem that used to happen there in the 60s, because if you go back to like Cooper's bullshit, William Cooper from Behold a Pale Horse, and and if you talk about like the Solar Warden program, like they've been training our teenage warriors up there forever for proper Martian missions and other intra-solar system missions. Another discussion for another day. I'm just saying, it's like a disco paradise that's gone to shit. Also, probably aliens live inside of it. So there's a lot of things going on.
Rob went full William Cooper. Here we go. He's going to die by sheriff's gunfire in his fucking...
some points he made. I mean, I know it's goofy.
I love Behold a Pale Horse. I'm just saying, I don't want to see the sheriff's gun you down in your driveway. So please, by all means, continue.
No, I don't want that either.
Continue on.
I will say though, somebody that we know and love gave me my first copy of that book back in the early '90s, and he's somebody we hold in very high esteem as a human being and a lot of respect. And even at the time, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Now, and I can't discuss anything about it, and I won't. But
yeah, we can't get into William Cooper right now.
Very interesting background that this guy who hooked me up, and so that added a little prestige to the book. Yeah. Now, he wasn't saying dead up; it's facts and science, but it stuck with me because of that.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
there you go.
back to the fucking moon, back to the fucking Soviet scandals. We're leaving the moon, man.
All
Come
right,
on,
man.
just fucking the moon.
Fuck the moon, dude. Fuck the
Fuck the
moon.
moon right now. Okay, we don't have time for the fucking moon.
Alleged moon.
Okay. This, getting back to the goddamn point egg, may or may not serve as proof that the first woman in space was not Tereshkova, but it lends credibility to those who suggest that officials of the former USSR would not hesitate to conceal the tragic loss of life due to an engineering or design flaw or simple human error if admission would in any way humiliate Mother Russia. And by this, I mean not serving as proof, it is the evidence of people being washed out of photographs. It might not be proof that Tereshkova wasn't the number one female cosmonaut, but it indicates that lies are not unheard of.
Totally.
In the harrowing period known as the Cold War, when every success by the Soviet Union was seen by party members as a victory over the tyranny of capitalism, and every stumble and embarrassment of epic proportions, it's actually more difficult to believe that they would publicly admit to their setbacks rather than simply deny them. In the end, we must not forget that what we are dealing with here is not merely an issue of national pride or historical inaccuracy, but one that deals with the loss of human life. Men, and in this case, an as yet unidentified woman, who gave their lives for such a noble goal, and just as sadly, their friends and family who were forced to mourn the loss of their loved ones in the deep silence that once reigned behind the Iron Curtain. All the while watching the accolades rain down on those who survived these treacherous missions. Edwards summed up the tragedy this way, quote, "What happened to that first lady space flyer and her companion will probably never be known, for it is highly probable that the Soviets themselves do not know. We can only hope that whatever fate befell them was merciful and swift." And I agree 100% with Mr. Edwards' assessment there. And there we have the mystery of the first woman into space. The Soviet scandal.
Yeah. So, I guess, obviously, skeptically speaking, there's not really too much besides the fact that, like, all right, it is Russia. They will 100% cover this shit up. The last thing that they want to, I would dare say any country at that point with the space race is not going to be like, oh yeah, no, we fucking lost some folks. The other part here, though, that I think is kind of interesting is like, all right, so much like the U.S., the Soviets are just, fucking blasting everybody and their fucking dogs literally up into space.
Yeah, right.
If they are seeing some sort of UFO or something going on up there, I wonder, it wouldn't behoove any country to be like, oh shit, look what we found up here. Like, that's not something that you're going to fucking just come out and say. So I wonder if with some of these dead cosmonauts, kind of like, or even like with the Salyut 7, where these people are seeing this shit up there, like, they're going to lock that shit down. They're not going to be coming out with that because it's going to cause mass hysteria across everybody's fucking shit. So
I think you're onto something there in the sense that, first off, as we were just talking, it's not a point of national pride to admit that, either by design or engineering failure, you lost, some of your best and brightest, most courageous citizens. That's just not a good look. It's especially not a good look when everything you do, basically it's a popularity war. I mean,
right.
In some senses, the United States and the free world won it in the late 80s, 90s, but obviously it's still ongoing. And that is, they were trying to appeal to, all of their satellite nations. The Soviets were everything behind the Iron Curtain, Asia. I mean, obviously they had China and North Korea and Vietnam already on their side, ostensibly Cuba. So they're trying to show our way is better. And this was probably because the space race had manifestly captured the attention of everyone on Earth was the way to do it. So they would not have shown that they were failing in any way they could conceal it. Add to that, like you were saying, the possibility that what they encountered in space was a non-human intelligence, one that destroyed the ship or kidnapped the cosmonauts, perhaps, abducted them, sucked it in somehow, like, you see in I don't know how many sci-fi movies. You are 100% going to keep that on lockdown because maybe you're going to try to establish a rapport yourself. Maybe, or maybe you're going to open a back channel, and I wouldn't even rule this out, with Kennedy, I guess, who would have been president at the time, or whoever's in charge of the so-called free world, and be like, okay, here's the deal. this shit happened. And if this comes down, we're going to need to figure out a way to fucking work this out. Or maybe the Cold War was so goddamn icy, they were thinking, well, shit, maybe we can find a way to make them attack America first.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm skipping right to Valiant Thor. Like, I'm already in my mind at Valiant Thor.
So I know that's Eisenhower. That's an alien diplomat. He allegedly met him on that California airfield.
He's from purple.
Venus. Okay, see, I don't know a lot. See, I've heard purple, but I've seen photographs where he just looks like a dude. Like a dude from Connecticut. Like, I guess that's where average people come from. I don't know why. Thanks, Connecticut.
Yeah. So, yes, the possibility of them coming into alien contact or, like a UFO or whatever up there is, totally plausible. More plausible, though, unfortunately, is that they obviously covered up these people and their deaths. Instead of honoring them as heroes, as national heroes, as we said before, they're not going to say, hey, we had a failure. They're just going to clip this thing. It is super sketchy, though, their last transmission. That's like, oh, yeah, boy, something happened.
No, there is something.
That's literally outside the ship. Yeah.
And so it is difficult.
Yeah.
So that's haunting.
It is haunting for sure.
And, to me, that opens up that Pandora's box that I guess I'm somewhat fascinated by because, again, we love the idea of possibilities that that just don't seem to fit into the normal framework of reality, at least as it's been taught to us. But one of the things that has always leaked through in the ufological literature and other, supposedly clandestine texts is that not only are there multiple alien species, something I think we can all agree now in the 21st century, I think we all agree that there's intelligent aliens out there, but one thing that most academics deny to this day, and understandably, is that they've been in contact with us, but, and this is the part that I find interesting that I was getting to, that there's multiple cultures with different agendas, and that some of them strike up deals with Nazis, nefarious as they fucking are, some maybe the Soviets or former Soviets, and some the United States, and, that's how you get Dulce base, and that's how you get other things where you work together and you make sacrifices. And going back to your Valiant Thor idea, that's where you make a deal with a certain groups. Like, you give us this technology, you help us make sure that the Cold War doesn't end with a melted planet, and we can use this, and you can take a certain amount of our people and fuck around with their guts and take them on your bases. This idea, it quickly becomes paranoid fan fiction. But if there is even a kernel of fucking truth to it, to me, it opens up this whole fascinating realm of like, holy fuck, what's going on behind the scenes? Because if we think, the dark world of spies and international intrigue is incredible, and of course, a lot of people do. They read books about the real stuff, the Tinker Tailor soldier spy real stuff, or the James Bond shit. But if that was on a cosmic level, well, what the surly red fuck? Yeah. Dude, that just becomes incredible and fascinating. And are we just little shitbag pawns because we're sitting on, as the Dubno abductors said, basically the hard drive of the cosmos?
Yeah.
And so we get to be in the middle of all this fucking mayhem. I know I'm conflating completely different mythologies here, as I often do. But if we're just fucking chilling out like these hairless apes, fucking around, doing our best on this goddamn supercomputer, and everything comes here, the fuck?
If you're going to go full Costello and talk about how the fucking reptilians have to hang out with the Greys and they're fucking assholes, you got to like split them up because they're super hostile to each other, then yeah, there you go. Like,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
We should dig into that at some point. Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's
I can't imagine the Greys, unless their weapons are advanced, would really be able to stand up to the reptilians that easily.
Is it Dulce, right? It could be
Dulce. I said Dulce. I don't know how to pronounce Dulce, anything.
Yeah, whichever one.
Let it come as no surprise to any listener. If this is your first pod, I will mispronounce everything.
Yeah, we should definitely dig into that, though, because that is literally the spot where, like, all right, we got them all together here. Let's hope the fucking Venusians aren't going to be assholes.
Oh, no, that's a great story. And of course, that one level that's supposed to be like the worst part of fucking all of the, the Angel of Death experiments and the Nazi death camps and the fucking crazy Japanese, section unit 818 or whatever the fuck we talked about at one point.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like these nightmarish things that really happen. Allegedly, there's a level in Dulce, for lack of a better way of pronouncing it, that is like just barbarism, vivisection, fucking a blood night, the kind of thing where Leatherface would come in and puke in his mom's face, which is literally the mask he's wearing.
Exactly. All right, so let's round it out here, Bobby. Let's get back to the Soviet Union here. So, Yeah, man. Weird government cover up, and again, I said it before, it's not unheard of. We do it ourselves.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if they had to just cover this thing up,
If this happened, they would hide it for all the reasons we
100%.
mentioned and probably
Definitely.
ones we can't even think of.
For sure.
And
for sure.
And because there's no names involved, we'll never know. No one can like approach. I mean, they could have maybe back then, but the parents are long gone. Maybe the siblings are gone at this point. There's no way to know. There's simply nowhere to begin. And there's just groups of people, these Italian brothers and their friends, a group in Texas, a group in Germany, and they say they heard this. And that's all we have to go on, really.
And there you go. That's where the fucking mystery is spawned from.
But if it happened,
that is creepy.
Rest in peace to both of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It's significant that it would have been the first woman in space, but it is tragic that people had to suffer and die. And maybe they didn't. Maybe they did get abducted, and maybe they're on like a paradise planet of aphrodisiacs and donuts and living their best life. I mean, I can root optimistically even if I don't buy it.
I know. I think, unfortunately, though, they just might be lost to history as space dust, which sucks, because it's obviously quite the fucking task to take on, and then just to burn up in the atmosphere and have your government completely deny your existence
or float endlessly into space with Elon Musk's fucking convertible.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that thing's up there still, isn't it? His fucking Tesla.
Yeah, some future astronauts are going to find this shit and be like, what the fuck is this machine? And what happened to the body of the guy driving?
Yeah, what the fuck? What happened to him? He's all fucking, he's completely fucking solidified into fucking some weird, I don't even know what the fuck it would be at this point. I'm sure it's got to be falling apart. Jesus.
Oh, space magic.
Yeah, or it's gonna go around Mars and then come to Earth and just like be a fucking impact crater somewhere. And
there you go.
There goes fucking Denver.
Yeah, sorry Poughkeepsie.
Sorry Denver Airport. My bad. All right, well there you have it. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Kind of an interesting little take that we had there. A little bit of a history lesson, a little bit of conspiracy, maybe a lot of conspiracy, little tangents.
I love it.
Conspiracy. We talk about conspiracy stuff on the side all the time. We don't ever really do proper pods on it because, like, the occult NASA, which, spoiler alerts, we did do, was a complete fucking shit show. Well, we're going to be revisiting it.
All right, first off, fuck off. And secondly, double fuck off. Fuck off for the first one is it's so bad it's good. And Chris and I mercilessly bombard you with, oh my God, I can't believe you made us do this, Mark. And that alone makes it worth listening to. Secondly, if you think I'm ever going to touch that fucking subject again, oh my God, put hot fire brands on your sack and think about that. Think about how reluctant I am.
My sack aside, okay? I'll narrate it again, all right? And it'll be a Patreon exclusive.
If you narrate it, but I still think we should release the first one because, as Mark said, it is a shit.
It is a shit show, yes.
But delightful.
Yes. So I do like that occasionally we do get to dip our toe into a little bit of history and conspiracy.
It is fun. The problem is we are untethered as it is. So as we did in this one, we definitely tend to slip down some fucking wormholes and we go on fucking crazy tangents and all that's fun. But but conspiracies.
I mean,
back when they were fun.
Yeah, I know it sucks because I'm a huge conspiracy guy, but unfortunately, just out of these last couple of years, everybody seemed to fuck it up for me. So thanks, QAnon, you fucks. Jesus Christ. Oh God, can't have nice things anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna go break out my copy of Behold the Pale Horse, and there you have it. So. Thank you all so very much for joining us, the Cryptonaut Podcast. Oh, I always forget the ending of the show, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks. Check us out there.
Check it out.
Check out the our Facebook fan group there. You can find that on the old FBs.
They are fucking
Thank you to everyone
awesome.
there. Yeah, totally.
Really is probably the best thing Facebook has going in terms of good people in a good community. Check that shit out.
It's awesome there, so be sure to check that out. It is super dope. The Heather Space, the heatherspace.coms and the merch. We got 3 new t-shirts up, Bobby.
Oh snap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do. Yes. And of course, there's always monthly sales, so be sure to check that out. We've got the Patreon, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. The $1 is a shout out in the one bonus audio. The $5 is a shout out in the no more than 4 bonus audios. So thank you all to everyone supporting us over there. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And, there you have it. And we're talking to you soon.
Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye. Farewell.
Oh, I thought you were going to sing. I really did.
No, I was not going to sing. I was going to go into an entire diatribe about the Bills and the Kansas City game.
Oh, yeah.
It was a hell of a season.
Wicked pisser.
It was a hell of a game. It was a
was.
wicked pisser.
I saw the end of it. It was spectacular.
It was a coin toss. It was something. But you know what?
My heart ached for you, buddy.
A little bit. But you know what? I'm taking it in stride because, again, it was a great game. And I think I mentioned this in the Discord where I was in the Sports Ball channel talking. If you guys need me, I'm going to be in Buffalo stalking Josh Allen to give him a hug. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Thank you, sir, for this entire season. So,
upstate New York.
There it is.
Now you know where we're coming from.
There it is. We'll be talking to you.
See ya. Peace.